Hey everybody. I wanted to just kind of talk through some of the readings and kind of what to expect this week. Let me see if I can share my screen here. Here we go. All right. I just wanted to kind of talk through some of kind of what to expect this week and where we're going kind of moving forward. Uh, we have two required readings this week, the Divine and the Flake and Fried article. I would really encourage you to kind of start with the Devon article. I think it is a really great overview of the concepts of validity and reliability. I think it does a good job of like organizing a lot of the terminology that we're going to discuss and does a good job of differentiating between different types of reliability and different types of validity. Uh, so take some time, kind of read through it, and we'll talk about kind of these. This one really talks about validity in like different buckets. If you end up going on and reading the standards, they sort of discourage that and talk about like the accumulation of validity. It's like validity is all just kind of like one concept. But I think it helps when you're first starting off to kind of think about sort of validity and reliability in these different buckets, and we're trying to collect evidence to feel sort of these different buckets. So that's why I like this article. I think it's a really great, good, like general introduction into these different concepts of validity and reliability. Uh, for a more thorough discussion, I'd probably recommend this Clark and Watson article here. Uh, you know, they really stress in here too, which I really like, is this idea that, validity isn't a checkbox. Like, okay, we did this, we ran this confirmatory factor analysis, factor check is good, like check, where our measure is valid. That like validation work is an ongoing process, and we're going to really stress that too. Uh, this is probably one of the more denser readings, so that's probably why I made it one of the optional readings. So don't worry if you don't understand everything right now. This will be a good one, I think, to actually take. Hold on to it right now, and you can kind of skim it, read over some of it. It might not, all of it might not make sense now, but this would be a good one to take at like the end of the semester and read through. And I think it would make a lot more sense. But this might be a good one to kind of skim through. Gives you a more thorough, dense analysis of these different validity and reliability concepts. And we're going to stress some of these a lot of times. I think they do a good job emphasizing here that validation is an iterative process. Measures are never fully validated. It's an accumulation of evidence over multiple studies. I think they do a good job of talking about like limitations of different types of measures. So just check it out. I think it's another good optional reading. The other main reading we're going to read is this uh Flake and Fried article. Measurement's measurement. I love the name of this one. Uh, and it talks about like questionable measurement practices and kind of like steps you're going to take to kind of avoid them. Well, a lot of the methods we're going to talk about this semester. There are a lot of decisions and a lot of steps that go on in the process. There are a lot of what we might call like researcher degrees of freedom that you have to decide, well, I could do it this way or I could do it like this. Or I think, a factor loading of like this size, or I could make this. There's a lot of decisions that you're going to make along the way. And what Flake and Fried argue here is that basically we should document like all of these decisions. Like it's extremely important to have a reproducible research strain here that someone else should be able to follow the steps you took to validate your instrument or your survey. Like they really try to emphasize transparency here. Uh, and so that's what I want you to read through here. They even have, where is it? Yeah, like a bunch of questions that you should ask and what you should do to like what you should do to report that. Like when you're developing a measure, you need to define what your construct is. You need to describe theories and research that support that construct. Uh, you need to report any other existing scales that are out there. Any other ways that you're like justifying your measure. You need to describe our response coding and transformations that you had along in the process. You need to describe any type of modifications that you made to your items along the way and why. What's the justification for making those modifications to your items? So they go through a lot of different things. So it's really about, I think the big takeaway from this is transparency in what you're doing. So these are the two articles I want us to focus on this week. I have a discussion post here that we're going, so this is kind of our assignment uh, for this week, and we're all going to discuss these topics together. So that's kind of our assignment this week. Uh, the Finch and French book have just a good overview and like a history. The first chapter is like a general overview of like what is educational measurement, kind of some of the history behind how some of these things started. So it's a nice uh, general introduction into that. Chapter two covers just some basic statistical concepts. So skim over that, make sure you understand those materials, those statistical concepts, and email me if you're not understanding something. I can help give you something kind of like supplement that. Uh, the other things that we'll talk to, and I think I'll link to later that are in here, is we'll talk a lot about the standards for educational and psychological testing. And these are a set of guidelines uh, put out by the American Educational Research Association, the American Psychological Association, and the National Council of Measurement in Education. Uh, just Google like one of those and just type in the standards and they'll come up here. I think I've linked to it as well. You can download, oh, that's the older edition. Uh, we can download the newest one. Whoops. I don't know. I was trying to pause it so I could find. There we go. As soon as I hit pause, I found click here to download the. So there you go. There's the English version. Well, I think again I've linked through this, but these first two uh articles here, or sorry, yeah, these three here are basically like summaries of this standards document and what it's trying to tell us. There's a summary of the standards, validity according to the standards. And I think this was just a PowerPoint kind of overview of the standards. And so we're going to take pieces of it as well, but these are just to give you a general overview of kind of what they are. But it's kind of really a set of guidelines talking about, what do we mean by validity, reliability? What are different types of evidence that we use to support that support claims of validity? One thing to keep in mind also, a big argument that the standards make is uh, a scale measure is itself not valid. It's the scores produced from these instruments that are validated for a specific purpose and with a specific population. So if the population or the purpose changes, then we need validity evidence to accumulate, like, does this work for this population or for this purpose? So that's the idea that it is an iterative type process. That's what they're showing here. But that's what these uh, are just summaries of validity evidence, according to the standard. So just check those out. Let me go back to my modules here. Uh, and then we'll go down into I have for the next week. I'll make a new video. I haven't made it yet, walking through this introductions to psychometrics PowerPoint and kind of walk through it. But then we're going to start talking about some of these concepts more generally. So we're kind of taking a general introduction here, kind of more broad overview this week, and then for the next 2 weeks, we're going to do a deeper dive into the concepts. All right, that's what I got for this week. Don't ever hesitate to reach out, shoot me an email, and I'm happy to meet and talk with you. All right, guys, see y'all. See y'all next time. Thanks. Bye.